If you're watching this video, you should have already attempted to do these 11 problems. If you have not, please stop the video now and do the problems first. Don't cheat yourself. The test is tomorrow. It's not going to help you if you just look at the answers and don't actually ride the bike. All right. The first four problems are about scale. Scale is like on a map. You look at a map, and from Tucson to Phoenix, it might only be 5 inches, but in reality, it's 200 miles. So what's the scale? How do you get from one size to the next? And here, the first one, it asks you what the size of the actual truck would be, and you're given one dimension. So I'm not explaining that very well. Let me just tell you what you have. You have a little tiny model truck that's 3 inches by 5 inches. And then the actual truck is 9 feet by we don't know what. We're trying to figure out how tall it is. So the 3 goes with the 9. What did you have to basically multiply the little one by to get it to be the big one? So scale is all about multiplying. It's not about adding. You don't add 6 and then add 6 here and say that's 11 feet. That's the common mistake on this, is people want to add, don't add. You multiply. So how do you get from 3 to 9? You multiply it by 3, so you have to multiply the height by 3 as well to get to 15. So this was 15 feet. That's how you do these. So the second one, another model problem, but now they're giving you the actual airplane is 200 feet long, and the scale is 40 feet is 1 meter. So 40 feet is equal to 1 meter. So how many 40 feet do you have in 200 feet? You divide that into there. How many times does 40 go into 200? 5 times. So if you have 5 40 feet and every 40 feet is 1 meter, then your model should be 5 meters long. So it's 5 meters. You understand how that works? Every 40 feet, you're shrinking this airplane down that's 200 feet long, and every 40 of those 200 feet is going to be 1 meter. And there's 5 sets of 40 in there, so you have 5 meters. Scale of the map, 2.5 inches equals 40 miles. Now it's getting a little more complicated because they're using 2.5 instead of 1, instead of a nice number. All right, so 2.5 inches on a map. This would be like the Tucson to Phoenix thing, but this is Tucson to Sierra Vista. 2.5 inches on a map is 40 miles in real life. So for every 2.5 inches on the map, you got to add another 40 miles. And the distance on the map is only 5 inches, so it's only 2 units. 2.5 is 40 miles. Another 2.5, that's another 40 miles. That's 80 miles. Seems like an easy problem. It should be 80 miles, but you got to read the fine print. It says you're actually doing a round trip. You're going the 80 miles all the way there and the 80 miles back. So now you've gone 160 miles. 2.5 inches is 40 miles, and you went 5 inches, so you went 80 miles. And then you came back another 80, 160 miles. All right, last scale problem. The model is 3 feet 4 inches. The reason this one's tough is because they give you feet and inches. And then the scale, they use inches. So you got to convert this to inches. 3 feet 4 inches is not 34 inches, people. There's not 10 inches in a foot. There's 12. So 3 times 12 is 36 plus 4. This is actually 40 inches. Your model is 40 inches tall. And for every one of those inches, the real building is 20 meters high. Well, we've got 40 inches in here, so we got to multiply this by 40. You know, if the model was only 2 inches high, then the real building would be 40 meters high. Every 1 inch in here equals 20 meters in real life, and we've got 40 of those. So 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, that's 5. We got to do that 40 times. 40 times 20 is 800. So the height of the building is 800 meters tall. All right. I gave you 4 problems on scale because we haven't really talked about scale. So I wanted to give you a good heads up on scale. Good news is there won't be any circle problems on there. So there's only 5 units. There's 25 questions. Circles got axed. That'll be in quarter 3. So there's only 2 geometry standards, the alternate interior, alternate exterior one, and then the triangles one, which we've got some triangles problems on here. In fact, the very next one is a triangle problem. 2 things you got to know about triangles. There's 180 degrees in the 3 angles. The 3 angles always add up to 180. And then the sides, the 2 shortest sides, have to add up to be longer than the smallest side. So that's what this problem is. They give you 2 sides, 7 and 15, and they want to know what's a possible measure for the 3rd side. And the nice thing is they give you 4 choices. You could just try it. 8. Would 8 work? If you put 8 in there, 7 and 8 are the smallest sides. You add them together, and they are not bigger than the biggest side. They're the same as the biggest side. That doesn't cut it. It has to be bigger, so it's not 8. 18. 18 is now the biggest side. The side that you pick might end up being the biggest side. That's okay. 18 is the biggest side. 7 plus 15 is 22. That's bigger than 18. That's good. That works. How about 22, the next one? 22 is now the biggest side. The 2 smallest sides add together to equal the biggest side. That's kind of like A. A and C are similar. They're equal. They're not bigger. So that's a no, and 25 is definitely a no. 7 plus 15 is not bigger than 25. So it had to be B. If a right angle is split into 2 smaller angles, here's a right angle. You split it into 2 smaller angles, this one and that one. One of them's 30 degrees. How much is the other angle? Well, it's 60 degrees because you still got 90 degrees there. You just split it into 2 parts, so they have to add up to 90. All right, and then the next one, if a 60-degree angle is equal to 3x minus 24. So if you get a problem that looks like this, 3x minus 24. You got to solve for x. Whatever you put in for x, this expression has to equal 60 because that's how many degrees are in that angle. So 3x minus 24 is equal to 60, and then you just solve for x by adding 24 to the other side and dividing by 3. So 3x is equal to 84. You divide by 3, and you get 28. So x was equal to 28 in that problem. And it works. If you substitute 28 into here, you get 84 minus 24, which is equal to 60, and that's what you want. This should be 60 degrees because 30 plus 60 is 90. Next, a meal costs $12. All right, these are percentage problems. A tip is 15%. How much did the customer spend at the restaurant? You need to know what is 15% of 12. And when it's what is a percentage of another number, you just multiply those 2 numbers together and move the decimal twice. 15 times 12 is 180. You move the decimal twice, and you get $1.80. So the tip would be $1.80. How much did the customer spend at the restaurant? Spent more than $1.80. This is where you got to read what they're asking. $1.80, you did your math right, but that's not the final answer. How much did they spend at the restaurant was the $1.80 plus the 12. So $13.80 is the answer to that one. A video game costs $40 but is on sale for $32. What percent was it discounted? Well, it was $40. Now it's on sale for $32. They took $8 off the price. So this becomes a what is 8? What percent is 8 of 40? You know, it was 40. They subtracted $8 to get to 32. So they took $8 off the price. 8 is what percent of 40? Well, this one's a little trickier. It's not exactly like the first one here. You basically, it'd be nice if the amount that they take off the price goes into the price evenly. And this does. 8 goes into 40 5 times evenly. So you're basically splitting 40 into 5 parts. So imagine splitting 100% into 5 parts. They're 20% each. So you took off 20%. I'm trying to explain this to you so you can think about it in your head instead of doing all these formulas. There's not enough time, I don't think, to get you to do the formula correctly. It's too tricky. So you're gonna have to think about these logically. The amount they took off was $8. $8 is what percent of 40? It's 20%. They took off 20%. How do you see that? Maybe this is a better way to do it. Maybe you could say the amount they took off and 40, turn that into a fraction. 8 over 40 reduces to 1/5. 1/5 is 0.2, which is 20%. Maybe that's how you get. That's what I was trying to explain here. Was this little sequence? 8 of 40. 8/40ths is 1/5. 8 is 1/5 of 40. 8 goes into 45 times evenly. 1/5 is 20%, so they took 20% off. All right, you can do the same thing here. It went from 18 to 13.50. That means they subtracted 4.50 from the price. 18 minus 13.50 is 4.50. Does 4.50 go into 18 evenly? Does it reduce? Does 4.5 over 18 reduce evenly? Yes, it does. It reduces into 1/4. And what is 1/4? It's 25%. So they took 25% off that price. They took 20 off this price. That's probably your best way to do these. Take the amount of money that they're taking off there and make a fraction out of it with the original amount. Reduce that fraction and turn your fraction into a percentage. Everybody should know that 1/4 is 25% and 1/5 is 20%. They're not super complicated fractions. This one's a little trickier. You got to do a couple things here. The original price is $800. It's on sale for 20% off. So what is 20% of 800? That's like this one. What is 15% of 12? 20% of 800. You multiply those two together, you get 16. A bunch of zeros. You move the zeros twice, and you get 160. So 20% of 800 is 160. So they're taking 160 off the price of the motorcycle for you. They're saying, here, please buy this. We'll take 160 off. So the new price is 800 minus 160 that they just took off is 640. So like, yeah, I could pay 640 for that deal. You get to the register and they're like, oh, sorry, we have to charge you tax as well. Like, oh, great. So tax was 8%. What is 8% of 640? It's 0, 2, 3, 48, 51.20. $51.20. Now you're almost back up to $700, which you didn't want to spend. So you think about not even buying the motorcycle because they're dangerous anyways. But you do it. So you spend $691.20 total. The 640 plus the 51.20. All right. Hope that helps. If you have any questions on these tonight, you can try and email me, and hopefully I'll see it and answer you before the test tomorrow. I'll definitely see it in the morning, so I'll get you an answer before you take the test.